Hey guys, and welcome back to yet another video. Today we're talking about audio compression and limiting. What do these effects do? Why should you be doing it? Why do I do it on every single video, client video, YouTube video, Instagram reel, whatever. I do it on every single video, and this is why I think you should be doing it too. So let's just jump on the computer and I'll run you through it. Okay, so here we are in the Final Cut editor. If you use DaVinci and Premiere, it's going to look different. What you can see here is the vlog I did with Tonics for the Valio performance, for the Valio show. And as you can see, there's a lot of clips here. There's sound effects, there's different audio levels all over the place. So here you can see where the jets come in. It's peaking. If you watch this little audio monitor over here, you can see it's at 0 exactly. Now that's because I do have a D clip and a limiter already applied to this clip to make sure it's not just blowing your ears out, but that is going to be a lot louder than, say, us talking in the car. We're hitting -12 while we're talking in the car, -6. It's all over the place. Like, the audio seems to be sporadic. Come over to where I'm talking about the Canon lens in the behind the scenes, in the green room of sorts. You can see here my audio is also hitting around -20, -12 on the high end. But then you come over to, say, this clip with me and Miles, because it's a lot busier of an environment. There was other things happening around. Yes, the microphone was directional, but it couldn't reject all the sounds. All the sounds are like bouncing off the walls, bouncing off the floor, bouncing off the kits, the equipment. It's reverberating everywhere. So the microphone does pick up a little bit of that, and you can hear that in the background. You can hear a lot of distracting noise. So I think you can hear this. You can hear the race cars still going ham. So this is now at -6, so you can see that the audio levels just change from -6, -12, -20, and that's not exactly ideal. Yes, you want good dynamic range in your audio capture, but you don't necessarily want that in your playback as such. You don't want it to be all of a sudden really quiet on one section of the video and then really loud on another section of the video. So what you're gonna want to do once you've made all your cuts, like, don't be too concerned. Yes, I can go around and I can go to this clip and I've already increased it by the max. I've already lifted the levels by 12. Here I've lifted them by 12. Yes, I can go around and change the decibel input, and I can go do like an effect like gain over here. So I can go down to levels, I can go find gain, I can add gain and add extra gain and lift those levels even more, but I don't want to do that right now. I just want to get the main edit done, my sound effects in, and here, as you can see, the sound effects, like this sound effect over here. This sound effect brings it way closer to 0, and that's because there's a lot of sounds layered, including the music, the different sound effects all layered. That increases the overall output, the overall beefiness of this section of the track that's funneling through this tube of audio. But I don't want to have to worry about micromanaging my audio levels. Like, yes, I'm going to do a duck. I'm going to select this area here and go -21, 30. I go between -21 and -30 depending on the track when I have other audio, like other dialogue over the track. But I don't want to be micromanaging my audio levels this entire time. Yes, again, I want to make sure nothing's peaking too much, or at all, ideally, but I don't want to be micromanaging all the audio levels. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do Command A, I'm going to grab all of the clips and nest them, or make a compound clip. I'm not sure what your program's terminology is, but essentially what you're doing is you're taking all of these different clips here, the letterbox up here, the sound effects, the music, all of the main A-roll, the B-roll, everything. You're going to grab all those clips, go make a nested clip or a new compound clip. So Tonics Big Weekend, we're gonna make this into a new clip. So right now Final Cut sees this as just one clip. It's not all of these different clips laying about, it's just one clip here. And as you can see here, this is now a much better visual representation of the different audio levels going up and down, up and down. Like you can see here where it's like super quiet and then it comes and spikes up a little bit, especially where that jet flies by. You can see all of these like different, like those valleys and peaks. we don't necessarily want that. Yes, it's good in music when you want like the highs and lows of a song. In a video, in like a commercial sense, it's not what you want. You want everything to be a bit more at the same level. You don't want one section of your... It's alright, here's a good example. Have you ever watched a movie where you're in the dialogue scene and you're like, oh, just turn it up a little bit, please. I can't hear it at all. And you go, yeah, sure, we'll turn it up. So you turn it up for the dialogue scene, and then all of a sudden, smash cut into action. Now everything's too loud. You're just like, okay, turn it down. That's way too loud. I mean, yes, it can be used for great storytelling, but I think there's like a finer line you can have there, where you can have quiet areas of your film or your short film or your vlog or whatever it is you're doing, and then you can have really loud and high energy scenes without having to go from too very, very explosive. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go into our audio effects and look for one called compressor. So we're gonna use this compressor to be able to compress all the audio and bring it all up to the same level. So if you give it a second, you'll be able to see now everything is like at the same level. So if I turn that compressor off, you can see immediately like where all the lows are, they drop back down to really low. Turn it back on and they come back up. So that's step number one. I just realized I didn't explain why or what the compression is doing. So earlier in the video I explained that there was a lot of audio clips that were at -6, -12, -20, and then there's some audio clips that are closer to 0. Now we want the audio clips to be closer to 0 because that's where most of the audio sits. It's not peaking yet, it hasn't clipped, hasn't distorted. But if it's too low, we can't hear it. It gets lost in the mix, it gets lost in all of the tracks. So we want to bring all of those audio tracks that were -6, -12, -20, and we want to bring them back up closer to 0. So again, it just all feels a bit more full, a bit more tight, a bit more fine woven. Audio is hard to explain because it's not something you can see. That's why we have these audio visual tools. But I hope that helped explain why we're adding the compression and what the compression is doing. It's bringing all of those audio levels from super low and super high and bringing them more closer to the center so the audio is more even. Alright, let's get back to the video. Step number 2 is I'm actually going to reduce this by -3, so we can take a little bit of that edge off, that little harshness off of the entire clip, so it isn't just screaming in my face. And then I'm also going to add a limiter. So a limiter is going to limit how loud the audio gets, so it's not just going to be peaking. Essentially, it's a way to help prevent peaking. So we've got our compressor and we've got our limiter. I think you should add compression before you add the limiter. You don't want to bring the ceiling of your audio down and then compress it to this new ceiling. You want to compress everything to the maximum dynamic range that your audio track has and then limit that down. So you add a compressor to bring all those quiet areas of your video mid to highs to make sure that 1, the audio and dialogue can be heard and it's not just getting lost within the mix, and 2, so your mix sounds more consistent. Now there is a lot of like heavy debate in the audio landscape of whether or not compression is good, because it's been used in radio and it's been used in songs and just it's been used a little bit too much. But in my opinion, a little bit of compression on your video, it's not going to be the end of the world. In fact, I think it really does help level out all of your audio levels. Okay, so I hope you learned something here today, guys. Add compression where you feel it's necessary. Now again, I use compression all the time to bring up that lower end of the audio to make it a bit more fuller. I don't use it so much where there's no dynamic range, and you can definitely go all the way to the other end and just go out of control with compression. I do think that's a possibility. I do like to add a little bit just to make everything a bit more full, a bit more tight, like it's not super quiet and then super loud. That's what I use compression for. So hit that like button, guys, if you enjoyed this video, if you learned something new. Share it if you want. Subscribe if you haven't already, and have a good morning, evening and night whenever you're watching this, and I'll see you in the next video.